Is 2 months of dating too soon to bring up the topic of sex in a relationship? I, 21M, asked my girlfriend, 20F, of 2 months, if she would be interested in us having sex. This was after a long conversation on how horny she felt over the weekend after we cuddled and made out on Friday. So I had a hunch she might be interested. Cuddling and French kissing is something we had done multiple times before. She immediately freaked out and went silent after I asked her about possibly having sex. She said 2 months of dating wasn't long enough to bring up such a question. She is now ignoring me and thinks my only intention with her was to have sex and leave. TLDR. Asked my girlfriend if she wanted to have sex. She freaked out and started ignoring me. I'm sorry. I thought you were interested because you mentioned how turned on you were last time we were making out. That should help her realize that when she talks about being horny, the natural conclusion is to think that she's okay with talking about sex. Is she a virgin? If so, she may not be ready to have sex yet, and because she's young and inexperienced, didn't know how to articulate that. I mean, she actually brought it up first by saying she was horny. For you to try to continue the conversation and then have her be like, lol, what, is weird. To some people 1 day is enough to bring up sex. To others 1 year. Yet others even longer. It is all relative. I find the sooner you bring up something you want, the sooner you get it though. I've had one relationship where I didn't have sex till 6 months. And the relationship after that I had sex on the first date. It's all about make sure everyone is comfortable. You should definitely ask her what she is and is not comfortable doing and make sure to respect her decisions. I have never dated anyone for 2 months without talking about sex. Everyone has their own standards and boundaries. While I think that 2 months is a reasonable time to have sex, you have to find someone who feels the same as you do. It doesn't sound like you two align sexually. Deciding on when to have sex can range wildly for anyone. Outright refusing to speak about it at all is abnormal behavior. Honestly, I'd run. Unless there is a cultural, religious component here. It's not too early to talk about it in general. But apparently it is for her. I'm not sure if she's playing games, didn't recognize her own mixed signals, or is just weird about sex. Or maybe the way you asked freaked her out. But it's an important conversation to have. If you want to continue with the relationship, I'd approach this with openness and curiosity rather than make it about, so when will I get to bang you? Ask her what's behind the reaction. Reassure her you're interested in more than just sex. If she's unable or unwilling to have a mature and thoughtful conversation about this, I'd say that's a sign of trouble and you should probably just move on. It's one thing to wait knowing that the relationship is progressing towards that point and both people are working on making it a healthy and safe part of the relationship. It's another thing entirely when one of the people in the relationship is touchy and cagey about the very idea of sex. I guess it was too soon for her. But that is pretty unusual. 2 months seems like a long to go without talking about sex at all. I don't think it's ever too early to talk about sex. When you want to have sex is up to the two of you. But talking about it early on is a good way to make sure you have compatible ideas about when to have sex, what its place in the relationship is, what it means to each of you, and what your expectations are. Unfortunately, though, your girlfriend may have been given a lot of messages growing up that all men want is sex and that she has to do all the right things to make sure you're interested in more than just the sexual aspect of the relationship, plus the notion that her value is in her sexual purity. It's not uncommon I definitely grew up with those kinds of messages. And it took me a while to realize they were BS. And she may not even realize the extent to which this is affecting her because these ideas have been presented to her as a universal truth. The idea that a guy could want to have sex with her and also really like her as a human being may be a foreign concept to her. She sounds incredibly immature. I say this not because she doesn't want to have sex, but because of her reaction when you asked her. Adults in a relationship should be able to talk about sex. She doesn't seem capable of this. There isn't really too soon, as everyone is different and has different boundaries and expectations in relationships. What matters is that both parties are consenting and communicating. You didn't try to force yourself on your girlfriend. You asked if she would be interested in sex. It also wasn't out of the blue. You had been taking gradual steps. The making out. And your girlfriend had given you implications that she was interested by telling you that she felt horny after making out with you. Her negative response is odd. But the bigger red flag is her refusing to communicate with you after the fact. She doesn't seem emotionally mature enough for sex. Or just isn't taking you seriously. It's definitely not too soon for the vast majority. There's no rule on when to have sex. Some people have sex on the first date. Some people wait until the 5th or some random number of dates. Others do it in the moment and don't discuss it beforehand. Some wait months. Some wait until they're in love. You didn't do anything wrong. Sounds like you guys need to discuss your preferences on sex and what it means to you. Based on her reaction, I would guess she's had very few if any partners, and it probably means a lot to her. Some people consider sex more casual and don't wait long. You just need to make sure your values align sexually. She gave the wrong impressions by just saying she got horny. I mean, you're both young. But that doesn't seem like an unreasonable question. The fact that she's freezing you out instead of discussing it like an adult is concerning. Though, it makes her seem immature and bad at communicating. I don't see what's wrong about having a conversation. How else are you two supposed to be on the same page? It seems extremely immature and unfair for her to stonewall you for bringing it up. Especially if she's been throwing words like horny around in conversation. You didn't demand to have sex or shame her for not wanting to, did you? Conversations and communication are expected and healthy. She can communicate she is not ready for that yet, and it's really that simple. No need to freak out like that. Ooh, hell no. You should have already brought up that topic a month ago. Honestly, it's never too early to bring it up, because bringing it up allows you both to set expectations and boundaries. This isn't even about you, this is about her issue and/or trauma regarding feeling used and discarded. Just make your intentions and expectations known. If you can wait, then say you will. If you're not willing to wait, then be upfront. But discussing it, even if it's just to confirm that it's not in the table and she'll let you know, is still a necessary conversation to have.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.